call them as that's why we call them as what was I saying? Prodigies. Here we saw the boy in the early 80s. In this part of the world, in Chennai, we never knew that there is an instrument called mandolin existing. We didn't even knew that there is an instrument called mandolin, isn't it? And that instrument can be played, and Carnatic music can be played in that. Nobody even, we couldn't even conceive of it. And suddenly a 7-year-old boy burst into the scene playing that. He was 7-year-old and he started playing intricate ragas in that instrument. Now, in some cases, the skill also gets what we call as prodigies is nothing but an extraordinary skill they show at very early, where others take years and years of practice to develop. So the norm is what? Years and years of practice to develop. But in some cases where you see a prodigy is like, you understand what? Rarely skill also gets transferred. Example, supposing if we have only one prodigy, we can say it's a mistake. But then there are prodigies in numbers, no? Prodigies in numbers. Mozart, musician, no? Correct, no? I'm spelling him correctly, isn't it? I'm pronouncing him correctly, no? And how can he produce such a music at that? So you find prodigies, meaning though the norm is the skill doesn't get carried forward, a very few areas the skill also gets carried forward. From this you understand what? You can't say nature made a mistake in their wiring, isn't it? You go to, if you ask a neuroscientist, they will say it is the wiring problem. That's all. It just got wired so differently that they knew all this. There is no need to bring in reincarnation to support it. Here we understand it slightly different. That's why it's called reincarnation. For we never knew in what embodiment that fellow did to earn that skill, and it is carrying forward now. So what carries forward? First is some skill gets carried forward, where 99% skill doesn't get carried forward. Therefore, as a rule, what do we say? We don't talk about these prodigies. We exclude those prodigies and we talk about the 99%. So on death, what goes out? What doesn't get carried forward in death for the 99%? What part of karma, what part of action doesn't get carried forward? The skill part of an action. And the skill part of an action belongs to the intelligence. The skill part of an action always belongs to intelligence. And whenever we talk about skill, we talk about two skills: essential skills, optional skills, isn't it? Essential skill is, for me to talk on Vedanta, the essential skill is me knowing the concepts rightly. What is an optional skill? The accent is an optional skill. I may have it, I may not have it. But nevertheless, what gets carried forward? Does the skill gets carried forward? So first we say no. The skill doesn't get carried forward. Then what carries forward? Then what part of karma carries forward? Whatever you have accumulated because of that which drove the action, that is attitude, that you carry forward. The attitude that drove the action you carry forward, not the intelligence, the skill part of the action. And that attitude part of the action carrying forward is seen very visibly. What is the how it is seen very visibly? Some children are born happy, some children born crying all the time, some children are sleeping. Every time you go, they say the child is sleeping, isn't it? Every time you go, the child is sleeping. Every time you go, the child is playing. Another child, every time you go, it's crying. So you understand that the differences cannot be, differences cannot come all of a sudden. There has to be a continuity. Till now, what we have understood? We have understood that life has a continuity. Life is a continuum. Life has a continuity. It means what continues, what doesn't continue. The gross body doesn't continue. The subtle body continues. What aspect of the subtle body continues? The likes and dislikes continues. Then the accumulated attitude, the strength of the attitude continues. What is the strength of the attitude? How selfish or unselfish or selfless you have been, that continues. Third thing that continues is how much you have unfolded yourself. How much you have unfolded yourself means how much you have digested these values, how much you have digested and lived these values, that carries forward. So three things continues. What is it that continue? How much you have digested and living this knowledge, that continues. Second thing that continues is, second thing that we say that continue is the likes and dislikes. Third thing, the karmas. Karmas means the attitude with which you do the actions, that which has created what is very loosely called as papa or punya. The accumulated effects of that continues. Therefore, all this a person keeps doing in his life, and to assume all that comes to a dead end is unacceptable. Therefore, this is reincarnation. Those who don't accept reincarnation base their arguments on, those who don't accept reincarnation will base on arguments on what support? They will base their support based on pratyaksha. And we have seen already, law of karma itself is inference based. It's not pratyaksha based. Therefore, it is very, so for us, it is very clear. What is it that is very clear? Reincarnation is a fact. Based on inference, we have two authorities. What are the two authorities? One is your own inferences prove it. Second is because it is said by the masters, in the Shastras. Since it is said in the Shastras about reincarnation, we accept it. There is reincarnation. And on what basis Shastra says there is reincarnation? The Shastra says there is reincarnation based on some methods they adopted. Some methodology of inquiry they adopted, and then they come to the conclusion that there is this reincarnation. So when we talk about theory, what we mean by theory is It cannot be physical verification is not possible. In that sense, it is a theory. So, how do you understand the word theory here? That which cannot be physically verified. Because for something to be called as a law, it should be verifiable and it should be quantifiable. It should be provable. Then only it can be called as a law. That definition we don't accept here. Why we don't accept that definition here? Because the field of inquiry itself is different. When we say measurable, science, when I say sciences means the worldly sciences define something to be called as a law. It has to be verifiable, it has to be provable, and it has to be measurable. You can prove it, you can verify it, you can measure it. Verifiable, provable, and measurable. Since all these three is not applicable here, in the initial stages, not to create a lot of confusion, the word theory is used. But if you have understood law of karma, the law of cause and effect, you need not use the word theory. You can use the word the law. You can use the word law if you have understood that. And why we use the word theory is because to call something as a law, a layperson always demands to be called something as a law. It has to be verifiable, it has to be measurable, it has to be quantifiable. That is why everything, all sciences tries to measure, try to verify, and they try to quantify. Time is quantified as in its own methods. Weight is quantified by its own method. Everything is quantifiable, verifiable, provable. And inference is something that is not verifiable or provable using an instrument. When we say inference, using an external instrument, it cannot be done. It is purely a subject matter of your internal instrument. And lastly, theory of reincarnation is that unless you understand reincarnation, detachment is impossible. A person who understands reincarnation gets detached very fast. A person who doesn't understand reincarnation cannot get detached. Why? Because he didn't even cross the first level of spiritual growth. We have seen the 3 grades of spiritual growth, isn't it? I am the body, I am the Jiva, I am Brahman. The 3 stages. At the grossest level, you say Aham Sharira Bhava. And then you say Aham Jiva Bhava. And then the third is Aham Brahma. So to put it technically, it is called Aham Sharirosmi, Aham Jivosmi, and then it is called Aham Brahmasmi. So the 3 grades, Aham Sharirosmi, Aham Jivosmi, Aham Brahmasmi. So a person who has shifted the understanding from I am the body to I am the individual. Individual means what? Not the name and form associated with the body. Individual means temporarily residing in this body. Are you able to understand what is Jiva? Are you able to understand what is the word individual means? The English word individual makes you to believe individual means this name and form. No. Vedanta, in Vedantic language, individual or Jiva is not reference to this body. The name and form is identity given to the body. The Jiva is the one who is temporarily occupied this body. So when we say the individual, who is an individual? The individual is one who is temporarily housed in the body. So when you mature in understanding that you are a Jiva, the conviction that you are a Jiva comes only when you understand the law of karma, reincarnation. Are you able to follow? If you don't understand reincarnation, you can never develop the conviction that I am the jiva. And the giant leap in thinking is when you shift from saying I am the body to I am the jiva. Mumukshatva comes only when the shift happens from I am sharira, from aham sharira to aham jiva. Because only when you understand that you are the jiva, what do you understand? How many times you have gone through the cycle? As long as you identify with the body, did the body go through cycles before? Punarapi jananam, punarapi manaram, punarapi janani, jatare shayanam, iha samsare, bahudustare. We have seen that. Did the body goes through all that? Does the gross body, physical body goes through this? It's born, it's dead. Correct? So, when we say something is reborn again and again and again, itself is an understanding that you have to move from aham sharira to aham jiva. And the conviction that you are the jiva, the conviction that you are an individual temporarily residing in this body comes from that's why this law of karma, this theory of reincarnation and all is such an important study in Vedanta. Because only this study gives you the conviction. What is the conviction it gives? That you are not from aham sharira to aham jiva. In English, this jiva is translated as individual. And then when it is translated as individual, how you should understand it? The individual not as in the body. SRL Shankar is not the individual. There is an individual residing in the body that is named as SRL Shankar. Puriyarda? There is a very clear time we know when the body started. And there is a very clear time we know that the body is going to end. So, where is continuity here? So when we say life has a continuity, another body is coming, but this body is gone. No, so where is continuity here? But then we are saying you are continuing. So when we say you are continuing, in what form you are continuing here? At one level, you means the body. At another level, you means the jiva. Finally, what is the real you? That we are very familiar, isn't it? Shankar, what is the real you? Brahman. Yeah, that we know already. Yeah. We have confusion only with Sharira and Jiva only we have confusion. We don't have confusion with the real you. Something beyond conception, we can never have any confusion, isn't it? Confusion will come only where in the areas where some part understanding is possible, part understanding is that, there only you can get confusion. About Brahman, there cannot be any confusion at all about Brahman. Why there cannot be any confusion about Brahman? Because it is totally outside the purview of knowledge, no? So no confusion arises as far as Brahman is concerned. But about God, some confusion will come. Even in relation to God, what confusion will come? Not about God. Even about God, what confusion will come? Why is God not supporting me? Even if God doesn't support me, that is also okay. But why is God supporting that person? Yeah. That confusion will come. Again, here this confusion is not because of God. Again, the confusion is because of one flourishing where you don't want that person to flourish, and where you want to flourish, you are not flourishing. That problem only there. So even their confusion is related to what? Sharira and Jiva. You can never have confusion about Brahman. Are you able to follow till now, Ganesh? Then don't come and complain, huh? And then he will take an appointment, come home to complain and go back. He will come home all the way. He will come only to complain and go back. And what he will say, I don't understand. I said, say that on the phone only. Why do you have to come all the way to home to say, I don't know and go back? Ganesh, are you able to follow? So when we say something is continuing, definitely we know the body is not continuing. Then what is continuing? Something other than the body. That entity that other than the body is called Jiva. In English, it is translated as individual. But every science has its own technical words. Remember this. Every science has its own technical words. In order to understand that science, better to use those technical words because understanding becomes easier. That's why I'm using a few Sanskrit words. So instead of using the word individual, use the word Jiva. Why? Because every science has its own technical words. And clarity is not to tamper with those technical words. So what are we doing here? To understand reincarnation, associate with this. What you should associate with? Aham Sharira, Aham Jiva, Aham Brahma. Now Aham Brahma is left. The confusion is between Aham Sharira and Aham Jiva. Vedanta says shift from Sharira to Jiva. When the shift from Sharira to Jiva happens, when the understanding, when I say shift means shift your identity, shift your understanding from Sharira to Jiva, there you understand something very deep about life. What is that deep understanding about life you develop once you understand that you are the Jiva? Then that Bhajagovindam Shloka has a meaning. Then that Bhajagovindam Shloka will appear to you, will be a law in front of you. What is that Shloka in Bhajagovindam? Correct. Punarapi Jananam, Punarapi Maranam, Punarapi Janani, Jatare Shayanam, Ihasamsare, Bahudustare, Kripaya Pare, Pahi Murare. Save us from the cycle, save us from the cycle, save us from the cycle. Unless you understand the cycle, why will you want to get out of the cycle? So first you have to understand the cycle. And what will make you understand the cycle? Reincarnation is that which makes you understand the cycle. So in that sense, understanding reincarnation is one of the very important concepts of Vedanta is reincarnation. Because in reincarnation, the shift happens from Sharira to Jiva. The shift happens from Sharira to Jiva. And then there are so many evidences, internal evidences, external evidences for reincarnation, all that. All that when we start reading the text, we'll be reading those things. I'm not getting into that analysis now. I wanted to say why the word theory is used, and reincarnation means what shift in understanding, if it happens, it becomes easier for you. So understand that you are the Jiva. In fact, that's what Krishna starts teaching Arjuna in chapter 2. You are the Jiva, Arjuna, not the Sharira. Since he didn't understand the Sharira, since he didn't understand the Jiva part, he got so stuck to the Sharira part. Since he got so stuck to the Sharira part, when he was worried about the death of the people, what was he worried about? When he said Bhishma dies, Drona will die, Krishna says, where will they die? Body anyway is dying. Jiva anyway is going to continue. Brahman temporarily out of syllabus, isn't it? That is, we'll keep it out of syllabus now, Brahman. So what are you worrying about? The death. In Yoga Vasishtha, Rama starts off with this understanding of reincarnation. The starting point of Yoga Vasishtha itself is Rama having understood reincarnation. It's the starting point of Yoga Vasishtha, where Rama comes and tells Vasishtha. In fact, he doesn't tell Vasishtha, he tells Dasharatha. How many fathers I have had in the past? How many more I am going to have in the future? How many mothers I have had in the past? How many more mothers I am going to have in the future? This understanding indicates what buddhi? It's called Sharira Buddhi, Jivatma Buddhi. For every understanding, we add the word buddhi. Yeah? That's Vedanta. Because the word buddhi means intellect, the word buddhi means understanding also. So, Sharira Buddhi and Jivatma Buddhi. Or you can call it a Sharira Bhava and Jiva Bhava. Any word you can use. Doesn't make any difference. So, a person who's identified with the Sharira believes that reincarnation doesn't happen, because if you have identified with the Sharira, reincarnation is not a law. Why? Why? Because you know that you only went and cremated the body and came back, no? You only, isn't it? Either you bury it or cremate it, doesn't matter. But you only know that it is not, it is sealed, isn't it? It is sealed and it is not going to come back forever. Therefore, what is the reincarnation there? So from the angle of the Sharira, there is no, from the angle of Sharira, reincarnation, we are not talking about it at all. And when people talk about reincarnation, they assume that we are talking about reincarnation from the angle of Sharira. Are you able to follow the difference? Venkatachalam. Reincarnation is not with reference to the Sharira, because that Sharira is over. And for Sharira to get over, you need not die. For Sharira to get over, you need not die. Why? Because what was your body when you entered the womb? The body started when we entered the womb. What was the body when you entered the womb? I'm seeing who has got Botu in the forehead. Yeah, small dot. Subramaniam's big. Venkatachalam is also big. Mine is also big. A dot. Dot means it's so tiny. That's the body. When you entered that's the first body you had in the womb. And then what happened? That body died. Some other body came. That body died. Some other body came. And then when you come out, 9th month, it's a completely different body. 10th year, different body. 50th year, different body. 90th year, organs also get replaced, no? The kidney is replaced, the liver is replaced. Maybe a time will come where the heart, everything can be replaced. And that body dies. So what is reincarnating? It's very obvious that reincarnation is not in association with the body. That we have to be very clear. Reincarnation is not associated with the body. Because if it is associated with the body, we have to prove the body is coming back. Now, how can the body come back? Isn't it? That's why, to make it very clear, in this culture, we don't bury, because you can dig open, no, and get the bones. In this culture, we burn it, isn't it? We burn. And when we burn the body, we ask for forgiveness and burn the body. The prayers, we ask for forgiveness. Forgiveness to what we ask for forgiveness when we burn the body? Because we are depriving the crows, the vulture of their food. It's their right. The body is I think only one religion does it even today, I think. A small minority, they do that. That part of it is wonderful in them. Doing everything, they just throw the body to the vultures and they come back. Because it is their food. It is their food. So what do we do here? We don't leave it to the vultures, but then we carry food for them with us. We carry food for them and say, this is left for you. And forgive me for burning. Why? Because of my attachment, I keep coming back to the body again and again and again, thinking that if the body is there, the fellow is there. Once you burn it, you know for sure that it is gone. Once you burn it, you know for sure it's gone. Therefore, reincarnation is not definite. Reincarnation, we are not talking in relation to the body. We are not talking about reincarnation in relation to the body. The birth of the body or the death of the body is not the reincarnation. Then what is reincarnation? What is reincarnating? Is the subtle body. In this context, we don't call it a subtle body, we call it as jiva. Then the question is, if likes and dislikes are carrying forward, will anybody like to be born in a to a beggar? Will anybody desire to be born with deformity? Because we said likes and dislikes continues, correct? If likes and dislikes are continuing, everybody will like for what? Everybody will like the Ambani, Adani, I don't know, Adani, huh? Narayanji, Adani, no? Ambani, Adani, all who will want to be born in? Yeah. Who will want to be born in Mylapore, isn't it? Who will want to be born here? We will want to be born there. And yet, why these differences? Is you infer that there is a continuity. You follow? So you infer that there is a continuity. Because then what decides that? What determines that? It's not just your likes and dislikes, your karmas. And what we mean by karmas here, in this specific sentence, I use the word karma. In this specific sentence, what does the word karma mean? The attitude with which you do your actions. The attitude with which you do your actions determine that. You need not bring in reincarnation and all for all this, sir. It's biological. Why bring in reincarnation? It's simply biological. There is no need to bring in. We say biological is perfect as far as the body is concerned. But biological doesn't apply as far as the biological doesn't apply to the sharira. Biological applies to the sharira. Biological doesn't apply to the jiva. So it is true as far as the as far as the biology is concerned, and it is true in relation to what it is correct. Body. In relation to the Sharira, it is correct. But it is not correct in relation to the Jiva. Since it is the Jiva that is moving, that particular Jiva deserves to get into that. So, it is not the nature that has made a person to get into this. It is that person, nature gave what that person, nature gave what that Jiva, fill in the blanks. Nature gave what that Jiva, type பண்ணுங்க. Nature gave what that Jiva deserves. Correct. Correct. Prasad. Deserves. Nature gave what that person deserves. Because nobody liked to be born with, nobody liked to be born blind, nobody liked to be born like this. So it is that which a person deserves. Deserved by what? By the previous actions, by the set of previous actions. This can be seen very clearly in the case of animals also, isn't it? This can be seen very clearly in the case of animals also. Some dogs are born on the streets, isn't it? Some dog travels business class. I was feeling a little bit jealous, last week when I read the news. Who read the news? Does anyone remember the news? Correct. That entire business class was booked. Because nobody will sit, with who will want to sit. So the fellow booked that entire business class was booked for one dog. Better to have been. One dog is here starving to death. Another dog travels in the business class. So it is so clear that what there is that deserving is because of one's own actions. The deserving is because of one's own actions. So reincarnation is connected with what? Reincarnation is connected with what now? Not Sharira, Jiva. Correct. It's not Sharira, it is Jiva. So, instead of saying I am Sharira, to understand reincarnation, to say it as a law of reincarnation, you have to say from Sharira, you have to move to saying I am the Jiva. And this Jiva is the very penetrative lesson of Vedanta, which no sciences can do. Because the sciences has to put everything in relation to the body. Sciences, even consciousness, they are trying to understand through neurosciences and all. Try to somehow bring consciousness to the level of but all this is confined to what as the base? Body as the base, Sharira. In Vedanta, we say no. Sharira is not the fact. It is Jiva that is occupying the Sharira. Therefore, Vedanta doesn't discuss a lot about the Sharira. It discusses about the Sharira only in one area. It discusses about the Sharira. Where it discusses about the Sharira, the body, Badram karne vishruniyama devaha, Badram pashyema kshabiryajatraha, Sthirairangai sushtuvagu sustanubihi, Vyashema devahitam yadayuhu. Just to keep it, the only area where Vedanta talks about the body is keeping it fit. Other than that, the entire study is about the Jiva. Entire study is about the Jiva. And the study of Jiva came from reincarnation. The understanding of subtle body came from where? The understanding of the subtle body itself came from understanding reincarnation. Are you able to connect all this? Otherwise, where do we say the subtle body comes from? Only based on the basis for all the so much of Vedantic concepts is this reincarnation. So we need not call it as a theory. In this classroom, you can call it as the law itself. The moment you understand it as a law, what happens? The person understanding reincarnation will not worry about when I am going to die. The person who understands reincarnation will get detached straight away. Why? How does detachment happen straight away? Because that person understands, no? How many times he is doing the same thing? Again birth, again death, again birth, again death. For what? Not achieving anything meaningful. You get into a body, struggle to survive in that body, and when you can't survive anymore in the body, you drop that body and take up another body. Vasamsi jirnani yata vihaya navani grinnati naroparani tata sharirani vihaya jirnani anyani samvati navani dehi. There in chapter 2, Krishna uses the word dehi. Deha means the body. Dehi, the one who has occupied the body. Deha means body. Dehi means one who has occupied the body. So straight away he brings in the distinction of the gross body and the subtle body. Straight away the distinction is brought in, the gross body and the subtle body. So when you are looking at something, if your focus is on the gross body, and if you are trying to understand reincarnation through the gross body, be very clear that there is no, from the gross body level, from the Sharira level, from the Deha level, there is no reincarnation. It's over. But reincarnation happens at what level? Reincarnation happens at the level of subtle body. Once you have understood you have a subtle body, you will not find it difficult to accept reincarnation. If you are finding it difficult to accept reincarnation, it means the subtle body itself is not understood properly. If you spend some time on reflecting what the subtle body is, the very understanding of the subtle body, continuity, etc., comes from the reincarnation. Between two manifestation, there is a period of unmanifestation. Between two manifestation, from one body to another body, between two bodies there is a gap, because it doesn't immediately become. It takes a while for the manifestation to happen. Therefore, reincarnation is not in connection to the gross body. Reincarnation is related to the subtle body. Understand it from Sharira to, from Aham Sharira to Aham Jiva. Once you are thoroughly established in Aham Jiva, then you are qualified for Aham Brahmasmi. As long as you are thinking that Aham Sharira, you can never understand Aham Brahmasmi. Aham Brahmasmi is the last Mahavakya. Remember that? We'll be studying it again. Again, we'll be studying the Mahavakyas. Here also we'll be studying a bit. Aham Brahma Asmi. So, to conclude, understand reincarnation in connection with the movement of the Jiva, Sharira, the subtle body, not the gross body. And when we say proof, you are asking for the proof of transference of this gross body. We say no, gross body, there is no transference. To ask for proof of reincarnation is asking for proof of subtle body itself. Correct? Asking for proof of reincarnation is asking for proof of subtle body. What is the proof of subtle body? You know it, that's all. You cannot bring it out and show this is the subtle body. In that sense, you can call subtle body itself as a theory, because it is not verifiable, it is not quantifiable, it is not provable. Therefore, this is theory of reincarnation. With this background, we will go into the lesson from next week. Yeah. Why are some laws of physics termed theory? Because all these are inferences. For example, correct, theory of relativity, quantum principle, they don't call it as law of quantum. They call it as quantum theory. They call it as quantum principle now. All this is also called theories because relativity is a mathematical inference. Relativity is not proven, verified and proven by an instrument. Anything that is not measurable, verified, or proved by the means of any gross instrument, the tendency would be to call it as the theory. For example, what you have qualified as correct, the theory of relativity. Why do they call it as the theory of relativity? Because it's a mathematical deduction. Again, the quantum theory. Energy is available in packets called quanta, isn't it? That's how he starts. The quantum theory starts like that. Energy is available in packets called quanta. And then when they analyze it, it shows opposite characteristics. What are the opposite characteristics it shows? It shows a combined thing of a wave and a particle. The same thing appears to be a wave and the same thing appears to be a particle. So is it a wave or particle? It is both. Now, when you say it is both, unless a person has studied that much of mathematics and can infer it, that small minority alone can understand. Rest will not be able to understand it. So straight away, so for that purpose, what they have said, they called it as a theory. In the same manner, we are calling it as theory of reincarnation. Correct. Just as we say theory of relativity, quantum theory, we can add a theory of reincarnation also in the same sequence. Because these are all, you can call it as mathematical deductions more.
Okay.
Is it okay?
Okay.
Rajshekhar. How can a man be aware of with all his senses until the soul leaves the body, or aware of the time of the impending death? How can a man be aware with all his senses until his subtle body leaves the body? Until the soul, you mean subtle body?
Yes, sir.
Huh?
Yes, sir.
So remove the word soul and type it again. Don't use words. Use technical words that we use. Don't use generalized words.
Yes, sir.
So how can a man be aware of with all his senses until his subtle body leaves the gross body, or aware of the time of the impending death? How can a person know when will I die? Nature's blessing is you should not know it. All planning can happen only when you do not know it. All your planning will come to an end the moment you come to know it. What will happen? What planning you can do? All your planning, all your hopes, all your expectations, the motivation to wake up in the every day, every morning you wake up, you are not growing. Every morning you wake up, you are closer to. Every morning you will wake up, you will be so scared. Why? Because, oh my God, one more day, Yama is getting closer. One more day, Yama is getting closer. Rajshekhar,
Yes, sir.
serious answering. Nobody can be aware of the time of impending death because that time is not a predetermined time. In the case of most of the human beings, the time of death is not predetermined. Since it is not predetermined, you can never know it, because it all depends upon how you are living. Since it all depends upon how you are living, the time can never be known, because even Yama doesn't know that. Even Lord Yama will not know the time. Only when the time comes, he also will know. And what is that time? I don't know, whatever the time is. You follow, Rajshekhar?
Yes, sir.
Therefore, since it is not predetermined that you are going to die is determined. What is determined? You are going to die, I am going to die, all of us are going to die, that is determined. What is not determined? The sequence. The sequence is not determined, the time is not determined. Sequence means what? Grandfather should die, and then father should die, then I should die, after me my daughter should die. That is sequential death, isn't it? That is not predetermined. For we never know, we'll never know what is going to happen when. So we know that we are going to die, that's all. The actual time of death, we do not know. Are you able to follow, Rajshekhar?
Yes, sir.
We cannot know that. Who can know that? Who will know that? Nobody. Even Lord Yama cannot. Even Lord Brahma cannot know that. Even the creator who created also doesn't know that when you are going to die. You can extend it. You can make it happen now. After death has happened, Rajshekhar, After death has happened, we say his time has come, he is gone, we will say. Correct? When do we make that statement? That statement is made. அவரோட டைம் வந்துருச்சு சார், அவரோட டைம் முடிஞ்சு போச்சு, போயிட்டாரு, we say. Correct? When we will say this, when? After death. After leaving or போயிட்டாருன்னு சொல்றதுக்கு what is the big deal? Isn't it? That fellow has already left. Everybody knows that fellow has left, the time is over. But then the question that you are asking is, as I am sitting now, will I know that? No. How can a person know? Cannot be known. Is it okay, Rajshekhar?
Sir, most of the people become unconscious at the time of death. Only maybe about 1% or 0.1% are conscious at the time of death.
Yeah. That is because, why you become unconscious? What is the when do you become unconscious? When do you become unconscious? When you fear. When fear becomes extreme, you faint, you become unconscious. No.
Yes, sir.
Yeah, that's all. They are fearing death, they become unconscious. A person of knowledge will not fear death. What is there to fear death? People fear death, they become unconscious. Very simple. It's very straightforward. What is there to be confused about it? Are you able to follow?
Yes, sir.
Why they fear? Why they become unconscious? Because they fear. Why they fear? Because this is what we discussed, I think last class or the previous class. Why they fear? Because they fear that it is the end. They're going to lose. They think that it is the end and they are going to lose. That's why they fear. Once you understand that it is not the end and you are not going to lose anything, where is the fear? And that understanding will not come on deathbed. That understanding should happen now. Once that understanding happens now, you will understand it then. Are you able to follow?
Yes, sir.
Rajshekhar.
Please, sir.
Yeah. Subramaniam. Where is he? Yeah, he is here. Subramaniam. We were calling subtle body so far. Now we come to know Jiva. Are they synonymous? Yes. They are synonymous. They are synonymous. Because when we say it is a subtle body that moves, it is the Jiva that moves. So you can identify with the subtle body. When you identify with the subtle body, you will say Aham Jiva. When you identify with the gross body, you will say Aham Sharira. And when you identify with the subtle body, you will say Aham Jiva. So you can move, what moves is the subtle body. They are synonymous.
Okay, right.
Yeah.
Right, say.
That's all, no? Anything else? Yeah. With this, we conclude for today and we continue with reading the chapter from the next session.